questions. Can we begin by you talking about what actually got you into this field?
So, fire is the fourth defense of our nation. We see three forces of our army, navy, and air force, and it is the fourth defense of our nation. And fire services is the life-saving service, and which is directly related to protection of life and property of the people. So it is a fascinating field, and it has got various challenges. There are so many verticals related to fire safety. We see urban fire service, rural fire service, then industrial fire services, then fire services spot airports and seaports. So every service has got its own challenges, and one has to be expert for various types of these fires. So it is a very challenging and fascinating job profile.
And nobody is more qualified than you. I was reading your biodata for everyone right now. You've done so many different courses. What prompted you to amass all that knowledge?
So, being in the public fire services, you have to convince the bureaucrat and politicians. So, we have to learn the language of finance and business languages to convince them. For that purposes, I have to learn that particular language to make it easy to sell my proposals to them. So, to bring more fire safety to the industries and the people at large.
All right, let's now move on to our first formal question of the day. This has to do with the exponential growth in the industry, sir. Because of this growth, do you think there's a need to have a formal policy to oversee how we are building our data centers?
Definitely, yes. Being a data center, a new animal to the Indian environment, it was very much challenging when data center developers and the foreign investors, they came to us with the proposals that we wanted to have the DG sets on upper level or a separate building for the DG sets. And there is a clear provision in Part 4 of National Building Code, that is fire and life safety, that you cannot have the DG set on upper floors, and you can have only on ground floor or -1 level maximum or +1 level, not more than that. And it was really challenging for us to grant such approvals. And considering the space limitation in Mumbai around and Pune around, there was all proposals where we have received, they were having wanted to have the DG sets separate building or adjacent to the data center building. And it took us almost a year to struggle with that. We have to take good practices what followed in Europe or in Singapore or in America, and based upon that, based upon the international standard, we could able to convince that we should have the minimum fire safety requirement for such type of a utility building, and we should grant this permission considering the space constraint and need of a data center to have 99, means any tire you take, tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3, tier 4 systems, you have minimum 99% backup required, and for that you have to depend upon the DG sets. So without DG set we cannot have the data centers. So considering all this aspect, I would means the leadership of the industries ministry of the government of Maharashtra and the COMIDC, they could grant such type of approvals, and we could able to give them a relief to have such type of utility buildings in MIDC area.
I see. Sir, then, in your opinion, what are the most important elements that need to be considered while designing data centers?
So as data centers without land, already discussed in the previous panels, land, quality power from the two different sources, these are the major requirements, and the ease of approvals. So now majority of the state, they are leading or competing with each other. They have the data center policies in place like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, even UP also has got now data center policies. But unfortunately, the National Building Code of India do not have any provisions related to data center. There is an Indian standard available, IS 12456, but it is of old data processing unit. We have to upgrade this standard. So there are two aspects related to building plan approval. We don't have any specific requirement for building related to data center. Data centers require more floor to floor height. Then there is a requirement of travel distance for the occupancies. Unfortunately, data center do not hold that much kind of a occupancy like IT buildings. and we have to compromise on this because it will unnecessarily create a number of staircases, additional staircases. Then there is a requirement of openings because data center is an enclosed envelope and we don't require that much opening on floor. So we have to have the rationalization of openings also in case of a data center building. And there is a requirement of parking for as compared to means for every floor area what you call you require for 200 square meter area one parking for industrial activity. So if we consider the activity data center as an industry, then at least for every 200 square meter area, that much parking you have to provide. But in data center, that much parking is not required because manpower is very less. So these are the crucial issues related to data center, what we face. Or there was a representation to Ministry of IT, Government of India, from various data center developers to have some guidelines in National Building Code itself to address this issue so that it will be easy for data center development pan India. So we are working on that and National Building Code is under revision and definitely in part 3 and part 4 there will be some guidelines coming up for the data centers in near future.
So, are you saying then in that case we could have a comprehensive policy about fire safety in data centers?
Definitely, yes. As far as the building construction of data center is concerned, there will be a separate set of guidelines coming up either in part 3 of National Building Code or part 4 of National Building Code in near future. Also, there is a committee constituted to amend the IS 12456 that is specifically for data centers. So based upon the best practices followed across the globe, maybe NFPA, maybe BS 6266 or ISO 22237. So we are eyeing for the best practices what is followed because technology is changing like anything. Considering the what I saw today morning, the way different technologies are coming out in data center industry, we have to be dynamic. Our code should get changed after every 3 to 4 years. Then only we will be in a sustainable mode to address the challenges of near future.
I believe a draft is already under development, right?
Yes, so already there are a series of discussions happening related to amendment in part 3 and part 4 of National Building Code. And the P draft will be, I am expecting by the January 25, the P draft will be circulated for suggestion objection across the nation. And by end of 25, December 25, we will have the new National Building Code 2025 in place. So that is the expected timeline from the Bureau of Indian Standard for the new set of rules.
So, speaking of fire, I mean, from America to Bangladesh, we have seen some major data center fires. In fact, last year, some people even lost their lives in the Dhaka fire. I'm curious, what would you say should be some of the things that should be in one's mind space when it comes to concerns pertaining safety, particularly fire safety? What should owners, data center owners, and operators bear in mind?
So business continuity is the key for every data center. So what one should know about what potential risk they are catering to. The power is a major culprit. The number of kilometers of wires passing through one corner to another to power the various kind of maybe HVAC, fire, electrical, DG. So all these wires are a real problem for data centers. So any mechanical issues or overheating, overloading issues will lead to the electrical short circuit or overloading and may result into electrical fires. So one has to be very means aware about what can go wrong in data centers. So that risk analysis should be in place while planning and everything. Compartmentation is another issue wherein you wanted to have the DG sets on the same floor, electrical dry type transformer on same floor, HVAC ducts are coming up, and cooling systems are coming up, servers are there. So segregation of risk is very important as far as data centers are concerned. And if we do this from in the planning state, initial stage, and we could segregate it and use of passive fire protection, which is very much important in data center, it can be beneficial in long terms to have the sustainable development of data centers as far as fire and life safety is concerned.
So you talked about the planning stage, but let's talk about implementation. What would you say are the hurdles that or challenges that one faces while implementing these building regulations and fire safety policies?
So I see there are n number of means codes and standards are available for various types of activities. But unfortunately, the skill labor and at the implementation stage is a major challenge. And we do not have good electrical installations with certified electrical installers in fire also or in HVAC also. So we cannot rely upon. We have to have the periodical supervision on this systems while in implementation. At the planning stage, if you take all precaution, but what at the time of execution, it will be really implemented or not. It is a real challenge, and one has to be very cautious about that. The same material what is approved in the BOQ is same is going inside the data center or what. That is the real challenge. I see this as a challenge area wherein if we overcome that, we will be in a position to make the more sustainable and reliable data center envelope.
So I'm curious, what are your opinions about using AI in fire safety? Improving it and making our data centers safer. Are you considering it? Do you have some ideas you'd like to share with us today?
So I would like to inform you that Maharashtra government in Maharashtra Fire Act only, we amended the act and we have made it compulsory to use the AI based means system for all fire systems. That is what is the water levels in your fire water tank, whether your pumps are in auto mode or what, your detection system. So all this means it is a just extended BMS. You have to extend it to the of all fire systems provided inside the building. So all critical buildings above 30 meters in height shall have such type of a AI based module available, which will control or take information from the fire protection systems provided inside the building, and it will be communicated via SMS, email. All alerts can be given to the owner occupier of the building as well as to the nearest fire services. So that amendment is already done, and rules are most probably by December end we will have a set of rules for that, and it will be rolled out.
Finally, sir, you've had such an illustrious career. I was wondering, what has been the most important lesson you have learned? What words of wisdom would you share with our audience today?
So fire safety is a cultural change, means change is required. So we Indians, we have got that chalta attitude. Everything we wanted to put under carpet. We don't means recognize the potential risk of any event, and we have to report it to the higher ups and to take the corrective action. Unfortunately, that cultural change is missing in us. The same consultant and the vendors, they do good job in Singapore, Dubai or anywhere in the world, but when it comes to the Indian installations, we try to take a shortcuts, and we don't really think about the what are the repercussions of it.
Why
So
is
if
that? Why does that happen, in your opinion?
unfortunately, it is a lack of awareness and the cultural change of related to fire safety. These are the two important things. What can go wrong if I do this? That one should understand. And when it is a critical infrastructure like data centers, wherein no downtime time is considered, so it is very crucial that we should have a really good team related to all stakeholders, right from the construction to all services, electrical, HVAC, fire, plumbing, everything should be done by the experts only, so that ensure that building will work in 24/7 without any failure.
Perfect, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful fireside chat.
Thank you for giving me.